He pressed go live.
Go live. Press it. Don't push that lever.
You're live.
Hi, everybody. We're live. Do you remember Yellow Submarine, where the movie where the guy, I don't know, one of the guys talks to Ringo and says, "Don't pull that lever," and Ringo goes, "Can't help it. I'm a born lever puller." And he pulls the lever and something happened.
That would be me. I would be that one.
Yeah. Don't pull that lever. This one?
Exactly. Are you sure?
Hello, everybody. Hello. We got Dr. Gail skywalking with Moon in the house. Woo-hoo.
Yes, thanks, Daddy, for having me. We've been talking about all sorts of things in the background.
Pardon me?
I said we've been talking about all sorts of things.
Oh my gosh, we have been.
I don't think we could ever have a conversation that's short and simple.
Yeah. No, we don't. But this is going to be exciting. I'm excited for what I'm excited for. I'm excited for what we're going to bring out. A lot of times with Gail and I, sometimes we have the same message that comes through in different ways. And so this morning I'm thinking, what are we going to talk about? And Gail goes, well, this is what, I was thinking of. And I'm going, yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking of too.
Well, my hesitation was, are you willing to say what you're doing with the Galactics? That was my hesitation.
Oh, can I just make up another story? No. No, yeah, no, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I'm good with it. As long as nobody says, Danny, that's crazy. Can't say that.
Everybody, Daddy, that's crazy.
Oh, jeez. I like being crazy.
Yes. It took you a long time to like being crazy.
Yeah, maybe. I'm still kicking a little bit. Anyway.
Not as much, though. Not as much.
Not as much. And, that's one of the things, too, that I was thinking about. From your perspective, when you start, there are some people who have an experience that just cracks them open and they're going, thank you, it's agreeing with me. That cracks them open and they get to see and hear big images full on. And then there's other people, and I think I am part of that other people group, that have to slowly step into it, slowly lean into it, because if we get too much, then we kind of short circuit and we really may end up crazy.
Well, part of that is just being fearful of what information, because it is so different. Some people who are cracked open are ready, especially I'm seeing quite a few here in the chat right now who have been cracked open and all of a sudden are seeing and working, but they have been exposed to it, coming on my channel, your channel, and all different channels. So it was easier for them. You didn't have that experience except for me, in which you were looking at me like being crazy. And
I never looked at you like you were crazy.
And I didn't have that either. I had one friend who was in the metaphysical world that kept telling me I was okay. And if I hadn't her, I probably would have been on medication.
Right. So getting back to the slowly being cracked open stage, what would you suggest to further that along, to make it easier, to make it more acceptable internally? Because, when I go into, psychic land or trance or whatever, there are methods that we can take that make it easier and give us permission to get in there. What that's the key right there. What is it that is there something that you can share that allows some of us permission to go to this space?
Well, for me, and I do say this to people, my first was contacting my dad who had passed. Doing mediumship is the easiest, connecting to your loved ones who have passed. And that created a safe place for me when I connected with him. And we had created a place where I would sit on the bench. I'd talk to him about family affairs, money, all sorts of things.
Right.
And so I was very comfortable with that. And then he introduced me first to an angel. And then I started meeting the aliens or extraterrestrials. So he created that safe place for me to be able to do that. And then I had my friend who I could talk to, which was a safe place to talk about, which is what my whole channel is about, is trying to create that safe place.
Safe space, yes.
Talk about it. And so so that's how I did it. And as I said, mediumship is the easiest, which I was already kind of a medium. Well, I was a medium because all my life, because I already knew who had passed, and I could smell them being around and knew when ghosts were around. But when my dad passed, 2 weeks later, I started seeing him, and that was the first time I could actually see the person.
Yeah.
And so that opened me up. But without him creating that safe place on the other side, I would have been on medication or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm trying to create for everybody, as I said, on my channel, that safe place. You can kind of dip and dive into it, but you can come in and there's nothing crazy that anybody's probably going to say that I'm not saying or somebody else is saying.
Yeah.
And so it makes it okay. And it's hard to talk to your family because, like, for me, there is absolutely nobody in my family who's going through this. So your family, my sister, who I've grown up with and have always been close, doesn't remember anything, me talking about it. And even she came to visit me here last week, driving in the car, something came by her windshield, flashed, two lights flashed as it came by. She didn't even see it. And she doesn't remember me telling her about ghosts being in houses. She doesn't remember talking about the wolf living under her bed. She doesn't remember any of that. And which I find that so amazing. So she didn't dismiss it. She doesn't even remember it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I find what you said with the mediumship. For me, that is right on. When, you know, most of us, especially those watching this channel, are mediums one way or another, whether we talk to a discarnate spirit, whether we just go into the ether, whether we get messages from our guides, whatever. Yeah. But when we start going into what I call that sacred space, where we can bring in our departed loved ones, where we can bring in our galactic friends, our aquatic galactic friends, when we go into that space, but I think mainly with departed loved ones, because it's easy, because we can see them in our mind's eye really clearly. And so when we go in there and I see my mom in spirit, and then she goes, I want to introduce you to somebody. Yeah. Oh, okay. And I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be maybe my departed aunt, and I'm like, that's not my departed aunt. Who is that?
I know. I mean, that was the first time the angel threw me first when she came, but it was the first ET or alien that I met that I was sitting there going, why is my dad allowing this to happen? And he just sat there like nothing was happening. He wasn't saying anything, and she was talking to me. But yeah,
it's cool. Yeah. All right. That was just a little side note.
Well, I do think mediumship is the basis probably for everything. I mean, we would try to put labels on everything. In fact, you know, I call myself an alien medium, but there's so many things that I do, or starseed healer.
Yeah.
And those two, I seem to kind of encompass everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the other thing that I was going to bring up was the energetic healing. I remember a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, when I was talking about how we're shifting away from physical medicine, drugs, and doctors. That's going to be shifting towards us in this community doing energetic healing. And a friend of mine went to go see this 3-day seminar on healing, and it was all about getting into that quiet space with breath work and getting into that mediumship space of healing. And so from that healing space, that's also where we get to talk to all sorts of crazy things.
Yeah.
And not crazy things. I meant just things that you would think you would talk to.
Yes. Well, let me say this because everybody's talking about Nancy Jean at the moment. Nancy Jean's should be getting out today. If she passed certain tests, she's having to walk around the unit that she's in and making sure her oxygen stays up. So hopefully she'll be out today. And she's on steroids, so she is full of energy. She is doing
pumped up.
Yeah. She's nicer than I am on steroids. But yeah, she's doing fine. And she's got the whole floor catering to her. She's doing readings to all the nurses. I think she's actually having a pretty good time, except for it was scary. It was very scary.
Yeah. They're not going to let her out. They're going to go, no. Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't pass. Can I get another reading?
Well, yeah. Well, that's how she ended up with her pulmonologist. All the nurses were talking about her, and he came in and goes, I like interesting people in my practice. His practice is full, but he said, this is how you get in. And so he's taking her on just because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny.
So obviously, it's becoming a lot more accepted because all the nurses up there are recognizing that they're also very intuitive and mediums. And so, yeah, she's having a blast, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. And I love that, that we are coming out of the closet a lot and finding that there's so many more of us out there that are stepping out, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, like when you're talking about, the healing, like I have the Slayers Healing Center once a month for everybody to get their own healing. And, I have learned how to encompass my nursing background, my chiropractic background, my energy background, going in how everything's related to the chakras, your auras, your organs, your spine, encompassing all of that, and realizing how important, color therapy and stone therapy, all those things.
Yes.
Which I have learned a lot about.
Yeah. Yeah. And even though it really, really, really helps to have that background in nursing and understanding the chakra system and understanding ground, blah, blah, blah. There's still a lot of room for healing for those who don't really get that, if they get into that mediumship space and that healing space. So for me on my journey, I was saying, I don't have that ability because I don't have that medical background.
That's not true.
Right, exactly.
Well,
so
also, also this journey, I found out, like doing shamanic journeys, I went down. It was actually when I was doing a reading for somebody, and I said, I'm being told to take you on a shamanic journey and to go down and to meet your medicine power animal and meet your the medicine power animal, and I can't remember, it was two of them that she was meeting that was going to help her medically. And when she held her hand out for the medicine, they put something in it, and which I didn't know existed. I didn't know those things existed. So there's always that going down when you're sick to go to your power animals, or you do a shamanic journey and find out what you do need. And I don't remember what she was needing, but it was something very simple, a simple herb that she was needing for whatever it was that was giving her issues. But that was new to me. So I'm continually learning also.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So cool. All right. Well, since we have you here.
Yeah. So, since I'm here and we're talking about aliens, extraterrestrial, galactic friends, galactic beings, however you want to.
So on this planet, we are struggling a little bit with our current situation and how everything seems to be out of control, how people are not getting along, how it's just one seemingly endless fight with somebody. So how, in different groups, how you were when you first started your journey, you were a diplomat in the galactic field.
After my work on the Astromedical One, they gave me a promotion as a diplomat, and it was called an interplanetary diplomat, which I didn't know what it was. You know,
That's such a cool name.
Yes, it was. And I'm going out going, what is that? You know, but what it was is going to different planets and different stars and hearing their complaints and taking that information to the Galactic Federation. Since I did that and then moved on to another job, Danny has taken over that position. And
I love it.
Much better job than I am. He's a natural fit.
Yeah, of course.
I wasn't as natural fit as he was, but yeah. And so the first thing they did, but I am also here to help you a little bit with it, where I was just, here's your job. You go for it. And so my first thing that I had to do was go talk to Earth. So I thought, oh, this will be easy. At least there's something I'm familiar with. I'll figure it out on Earth. And they sent me down with Mother Earth first when I got here. And Mother Earth was beautiful. She looked like a mermaid or an angel, but she was made of red clay. And she smelled like dirt, like fresh dirt. And
Mother Earth smelled like dirt?
Like dirt, like fresh dirt, you know, like you dig up it, she felt like dirt. Yeah, of course she did. And so she took me down with her. She just grabbed my hand and we went inside Earth. And I'm talking about not going into a cave or anything. I mean, like we're inside Earth. And she's floating around like a mermaid, going through it, swimming around. And I'm like this klutz behind her, hanging around trying to get my bearings. And I was claustrophobic. A lot. Danny and I are both scuba divers, and when you go scuba diving, the first sign of somebody who is claustrophobic, they pop up out of the water and take their regulator out of the mouth and get air. Well, that's what I was doing with Mother Earth. I was popping my head out. I looked like a gopher. I kept popping my head out, around, get air, but I was breathing fine under in Earth, and I don't know why I could not get comfortable with that, but my job there is that they were showing me around, but I think they were also educating me about a lot of things because the Galactic Federation already knew a lot of these things. I'm trying to pull that information up so I can get exactly what she said right before I butcher it as I'm trying to find it. Let's see.
One of the things that you were saying about Mother Earth was about everything was going to be fine, but you were talking about sensationalism and separation.
Yeah, we have to move away from that, and I'm trying to find those exact words so I'll be able to. Okay. Everything will be okay. This is what she said. Everything will be okay. Earth will go through difficult times for the next few years. It's a wake-up call. The U.S. will be the leader in the care of the Earth within the next 10 years. And then she went on to say, oh, no, that was the trees, Danny, that you're talking about. This was Mother Earth. That's what she had to share, was that the U.S. would be taken over. Now, I had that position probably about 3 years ago, and Danny's probably had it just about that length of time, because I was only about 6 months at the most, until they moved me over to another medical ship. So the next thing I had to do was talk to the trees. No, next thing was the dolphin. I had a dolphin. I had to meet her, and her thing was quit throwing trash in the ocean. That was her message: quit throwing trash in the ocean. And then I asked her about plastics, and that was not her concern with the plastics. It was the boats, the ships, the industry, what they were dumping into the water. That was her concern. She said that we would discover how to take care of plastic. And Danny and I had that conversation about that. And he was going into all this micro, and I'm going, she kept saying that we were going to learn how to do it. And of course, then I got a flash that we would be able in the future to swallow something that will be getting rid of all the plastics, all the parasites and viruses and things like that in our system. And that's really soon in our future that we'll have that. So we will soon be able to take care of the plastics. The next thing I talked to were the trees, and the trees. Oh yeah, the trees. They wanted us to start communicating. They wanted us to start. Our only communication should be of caring and loving, and a warning system if something's happening, to be able to share that with them, that something's coming that's going to happen. And and then we can join them. We can join them in getting that knowledge. We will know when, like, a hurricane's coming, a tornado's coming, if we get to that place where we can join them. But we cannot until we get rid of the sensationalism and separation. And
that was so powerful for me. And, and so what I just heard, which I didn't hear before, which goes along with the medical. So we are letting go of all of this stuff that we think we need, like, the weather forecasts, the, medicines and pharmaceuticals. We can get all that information and those early warnings from our senses,
right,
from the trees. I mean, the elephants get it, yes.
Right. If we connect to the trees, if we get rid of the negative stuff and connect to the trees, which, even during that time I was going, does that mean the trees are superior beings than us? Because
right now, probably yes.
Their conversation is better than ours, and it just really gave me a lot of thought. But the next ones I talked to were the owls, and that was the last ones I talked to. And their message was, leave me an apartment. And I kept going, what? Leave me an apartment when you build a nest. Leave me an apartment. I kept going over and over. Of course, whenever you get messages, which is the beauty of telepathic communication, they send you a picture or a movie in your head. So what they showed me was somebody bulldozing up a whole plot of land to build this big house on. And what they're asking, which was simple, don't bulldoze that whole lot up. Leave them space, leave some trees, leave them apartments.
Yeah.
And which I thought was pretty powerful message. They were simple messages, but very powerful.
Yeah.
And those were all the messages I received from Earth.
Yeah. 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 I love right now, what I see is the sensationalism on everything.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to put breaking news on the top of our Galactic stream.
No, you weren't.
Get ready. If we have a thought, that's a new thought. That's breaking thoughts coming into my head right now. Yeah. So the sensationalism, that really kind of amps everything up, and you find out that I remember Nancy Jean saying, since she's in the hospital, maybe she's watching right now, and if she is, hey, Jean,
it's probably rounds around the floor because she has to do so much work before she can go home
Yeah.
and keep her oxygen level right.
Yeah. Oh boy. But she was saying, we get all worried about something, and if we just let it go and come back in a week and see if it's still true. So a lot of times we react too quickly on break.
Well, remember, it's been 5 years now for me where I was breaking away from all that. It was the hardest addiction to break away from. Now, and I would say it took a good year, maybe a year and a half, where I don't think about those things as much anymore.
Right.
Sometimes occasionally I'll get triggered and I'll go, oh gosh, quit looking at that. But it was an addiction that I had to take control of if I wanted to connect with these aliens and extraterrestrials and other worldly beings, even our elementals. I had to get rid of a lot of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I find that even though they are interested in our world,
but they can't interfere.
They're not going to interfere. They've got their own stuff that they're worrying about.
Yeah.
That they're dealing with.
The universe. We're a little pea in the universe.
So yeah, it's kind of like your neighbor. I'm interested in my neighbor and I want good things to happen to my neighbor, and I'm not really gonna knock on their door and go, I'm here to fix anything.
Yeah.
I've got my own house. I got my own stuff in my house that I need to bring my toolkit in that I've ignored for too long.
Well, that goes back to our parents, because I can remember my dad sitting on the front porch waiting for the men to get together to go do the project of the neighborhood. Whose house are we going to work on their project today? Which that means they were just getting together, drinking beer and looking at what they might be doing, and a project or something might come out of it. But that was a very neighborhood feel that, and my mother was glad to go, oh yeah, let him go over there and get him out of my hair, let him go work on that project.
Yeah, right. That's good. So I love the messages of Gaia coming forth. I had an interesting mediumship session, and when I was dropping into that quiet space, Gaia showed up. And not in a way that I normally think of Gaia, of Mother Earth. Very, it was just so alive.
Did you meet Mother Earth?
Yeah, I know I did in Shasta. When I was in Shasta, I met Mother Earth, and it was so comforting and loving, and I got a little scared. And I go, how am I scared with all of this love and comfort?
Well, I couldn't breathe, so I was the same way. Even though it was all that, I was having to go up and get air. I was getting claustrophobic, and no matter how comforting she was, and it was the only one I did that with, because when I was in the water, I was fine. Let me swim along in the water. Just don't put me inside Earth. That's the only place I was uncomfortable, and to this day, still is not my comfort zone. I'll go in it, but I am not going like, oh, let me go. I'm not. But even though the shamanic journeys to me seem like we're going inside of Mother Earth all the time, I'm comfortable with that because I'm going with my power animals, which I have like 4 of them that I'm going with, which is my comfort zone, is to have them around me, allows me not to be worried, scared, or anything because I have them around me.
Yes.
I wish I had developed those power animals or had those power animals when I had met her. At that time, I did not.
Right.
It would have been a much comfortable situation probably for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were probably there, but you weren't just accessing
Yeah,
them.
I hadn't met them yet. Yeah, I
Yeah.
hadn't. Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about that this morning too, about making sure that when we go, because there's some play, everybody has a different method of getting into the what I call the quiet space, the meditative state.
Right.
And I'm working with this person who has been teaching his technique for 40 years. And I'm like, okay, I know from scuba diving, the most dangerous person to hook up with as your diving partner is someone who's been diving for 30 or 40 years.
Exactly.
So nobody wants to dive with me. Thank you. Because I don't like diving with anybody.
Die with you, but I would die with you going, Danny, here are the parameters. You go fastest, I'm out of here.
Yeah. And so, and that's why I don't dive with anybody. I dive with my buddy. That's my camera.
Uh-huh.
Camera's name is Buddy. So I have my dive buddy. But anyway, we won't get into that. And you need to be trained in it. Let me just say that. So, but anyway, this guy that was 30 years old, he's doing things, and I'm going, are you skipping steps? Because I'm thinking he's skipping steps. He's skipping protection steps. He's skipping power animals steps. And he has his justification for that. And I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe I'm just new. Or maybe he's skipping steps. So
I would have gone, either I'm you or he's stupid. I'm going with stupid.
now I wouldn't say stupid,
No.
but I could. But anyway,
Kind of steps, yes.
So when when we're doing this work, for me, I'm always bringing my power animals. I'm always bringing my guides, angels, even my departed loved ones who want to be with me on this journey. I mean, we have a big party that is walking around with me, and it's all good. However, they're not interfering so much so that I don't get the full experience.
Right.
Yeah, but they're just there in case I do something stupid.
Yeah, well, I mean, as I've told you many times, my line, I'm surprised it's not bald because I'm grabbing onto that mane when we're going through something scary. And I'm thinking I'm going to be pulling all his hair out, but he doesn't buck. He doesn't say anything. He just is very calm.
Yeah.
Walks me through it, but I have to experience it, but I'm hanging on. So we take one step at a time.
Yeah. So, cool. So, galactic diplomats. Getting back to that.
Interplanetary liaison.
I know. Yeah, interplanetary liaison.
I didn't know what it was, and I certainly didn't know how to spell it because I am a terrible speller.
That is such a cool title, and it's all about when you mentioned the sensationalism and separation, and for me when I don't have a lot of the memories when I do this work. It's a lot at night. I know it's difficult because I wake up exhausted. I'm going, I think I want to go back to bed again. And then go, well, just put you back to work. I'm like, oh, okay.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what they do. Sometimes I'll come back home and I'm just exhausted and they're wanting me to go back to work just for another hour or just another hour and a half. Let's go back to work.
Yeah. So, but I find that there, I'm going to be using this sensationalism because we are getting the separation narrower. it is working. We may not see it so much, but in other galactic situations, there's huge separations that are getting closer and closer, and it is working, but it's
work.
It's work. and I know that it is working, because sometimes in my dreams I'll just find this that, oh, everything's like clicking, everything's working, and then there's other times where it's like work. So I'm hopeful that, and I know that this is working on this planet too, because I think I am working on this planet in other galactic with other galactic friends, guides, that we are dealing with something here.
Well, Earth was the one that complained the most when I visited it.
Well, because we're a bunch of complainers.
Because everywhere else I went, it was just like one being I met, one statement, one issue. Was it? I named four things that I did when I came to Earth. So it would make sense that you're spending more time on Earth because of the issues, and everybody has complaints. So. Right.
And we're all waking up to our galactic heritage.
Yeah.
And getting more comfortable with that. And so it's, we're getting it together, but our time stream is way different than their time stream. As far as,
Where's Nancy Jean?
Hey, Nancy.
Glad to see you, Nancy. Everybody's been asking about you.
Yeah, we've been talking about you back behind the scenes too. We didn't say anything bad.
Oh, no.
Well, not a lot of bad.
I'm glad to see you here.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, your duties. I mean, you are going to different planets, and as I said, Earth. Because we're human, we feel like it's the most important thing around. We think it's the most important planet in the universe. Typical humans.
Yeah.
So with our extraterrestrial friends, they think everybody's important. Every planet's important. Everything's important, not just the humans on Earth. And
they're wrong. Just to let you know, they're wrong. We are the most important.
Yes. And it goes along with us thinking we're the only ones in the universe, the only, beings in the universe. It goes all along that. It's just us.
Yeah.
But, one day, and I mean, the disclosure is happening now. We're all learning, we're all finding out, and we're all meeting these different extraterrestrials. We're all now starting to understand what's happening instead of denying it. And so anyway, things are changing.
So one of the things that I came across when I went to Chaco Canyon, which was phenomenal, was one of the park rangers in trying to explain what happened in that civilization, in that town, in that whatever. I mean, they're still trying to figure that out. They say, well, it was a very small population, but it was huge. I mean, 4-story.
Yeah, I thought it was a place for all the Native Americans in the area from north to south.
North to south, and from Peru and Mexico. They're all traveling up to Chaco, and some were. So people are still trying to figure all this out, logically. And I go, well, that's the first mistake. But they were saying that. Some were saying, well, there's only 2,000 people living here full time. But then it was a cultural and a religious ceremonial center where you could share ideas and thoughts, which in different ways of being. And you can share new things like chocolate. So there was that. that was going on. So for me, it was a galactic center of sharing galactic information. That's what I got out of it.
Right.
And then we as earthly beings trying to figure that out. However, what one of the park rangers said was the Chacoans thought that this was the center of the universe. And I went, huh. And then I go, well, here's I mean, China thought that it was the center of the universe, the world. There's certain politicians in our time stream that think that they are the center of everything. And again, that's not necessarily true.
Well, I've got a question for you, though, when you're in Chaco Canyon. Oh,
Yes.
I interrupted your thought.
But Chaco is the center influences because they brought all these other influences together, and then it spread out. So yes, in essence they were, but then they spread that knowledge out to other parts. It was just the convection.
But I'm kind of blow your mind on this one.
Okay.
Weren't the extraterrestrials part of that?
Yes.
That they were not looked at as that different like we do.
I believe you're right. Yes. Yeah.
That was it.
So that didn't blow my mind at all.
Okay, good.
Try again. Oh, no, she's going to go, oh, don't push me.
No, I'll push off YouTube. You here in public.
So, and one of the things with Chaco that is so relevant to my journey today, and what you were talking about with the trees and things, there was so many ancestors that were alive in the rocks. Mm-hmm. So there was information coming. If you sat in front of a rock and you looked at it, you can see faces. You can see their heart space. I have a video of that where the big grandfather rock, and I go, look at that big thing, and I go, I'm going to go talk to him and get a message, and he goes, peace and love, and I go, I say that all the time. So in
Mount Shasta, there's a rock like that.
Oh, is there? I'm going to go find it.
I'd have to tell you where it is.
As long as I don't have to die, if I tell you this information, I'm going to have to kill you. You know how they say that.
But there is a rock in Mount Shasta on a trail that has that kind of energy. It's not a huge rock, but it's a pretty big rock.
It didn't need to be huge to be powerful. But yeah, but even though he was big, he had a heart in the middle of the rock. And all the time that I kept walking that day, I kept seeing little hearts everywhere. And the message is, stop thinking with your head, think with your heart. Yeah. And make decisions based on that. So, yeah.
And that to me is the biggest lesson we're trying to learn, is to move into our heart space, start thinking from our heart, quit making decisions from your head or thinking with your head and coming into your heart. I think a lot of the sensationalism and separation would go away if we got out of our heads into our hearts.
Yeah, right. All right, we're going to start reading some questions, if it's okay with you.
Okay, this is Patricia. Hey, Patricia.
Hey, Patricia.
The one coming out, she has exploded.
Oh, how many pieces is she?
She's still in one piece.
Oh, good.
She is having so many things coming her way.
Yeah, good. So she said, I met a rock being in the Black Hills of South Dakota. I still want to go there. I have not been there yet. And it said, I am the rock speaker teacher Say that 3 times really fast.
Rock speaker teacher.
Wow.
Rock speaker teacher.
Better than me. And it says, I speak for those in my area. They can speak, yet they have given communication for me to share. Is that you, Teresa, Patricia, or is that you, or is that rock speaker teacher?
Sounds like she's an interplanetary liaison.
Yeah. Please put me back together again.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty powerful message.
Are you getting that?
I did not talk to the rocks.
No, do you understand what she's saying?
Yeah, put me back together again. She's talking about bringing it all together, bring all the rocks, put the rocks back together, bring them up together, bring it all together. That's what she's talking about.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Patricia. Communication, bring us together, put us back together. Yeah. So that is more, I know Terry talks about rock people all the time. She has a very big connection with the rock people.
Right. Yeah, there's a book called Conversations with Nature. Ariana Hule, she wrote this, and she has a whole thing talking to Big Rock. I'm like, this is awesome. Yeah, there's so cool.
It's rock speaker teacher that will share the knowledge of the area.
Okay. Yeah. And that to me is a key. When we go into a new area, it's like you just don't barge into somebody's house. You knock on their door, may I come in?
I barged into this house in Wilmington, North Carolina, and did not honor the land. I got a kick in the butt over that.
Yeah. So I think it's really, really important to honor the land. All right. Thank you, Patricia. Let me see if I can get rid of the comment. Not rid of you. And I starred some things. I don't know what they say. So hopefully they're not weird. Well, they're all weird in a good way, but hopefully they're not
too weird.
Abusive. Let's see. Oh, hey, we're back to Patricia again. Okay. I believe I have an android as an assistant on Ashtar Med 1.
Yeah, that's the one. That was my first spaceship I worked on.
Okay.
It occurred when my brother was on the med table for a severe headache due to concussion years ago. Do you have an android as an assistant? I'm getting a yes, Patricia, you do. Your vision was correct. See, I'm talking about she is really opening up. She's starting to see everything.
Cool.
Yeah. So she's on the Ashtar Medical 1 now, working in the medical area. We're doing surgeries and things like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe go visit Nancy Jean.
Well, Medical Mike's already visited her.
Ah, yes. Medical Mike.
Yeah. Medical Mike, everybody that doesn't know, is a gray hybrid. And a gray hybrid is a mix of a gray alien and a human, and they're mixed together. So whatever they look like is the first name of the hybrid. So if they look like a gray, they're called gray hybrid. If they look human, they're called human hybrid. So Medical Mike is a gray hybrid, and he's from the Astro Medical 1, and he's trying to learn how to work on humans. So he's come in as my assistant to learn from me when I'm doing my shows that are healing shows, the Solaris Healing Center. So that's who Medical Mike is. So I can't remember what time I was talking to Nancy Jean, but I told her I was sending Medical Mike over, and he came back and told me what was wrong, and it was exactly what it turned out to be.
Yeah. Well, who cares what's wrong? Fix it.
He did.
Fix it.
In fact, Nancy Jean was everybody was impressed at how quickly she bounced back.
Yeah, I know. That's what cool. All right, Teresa. I saw a UFO Monday.
Another one that's opening up.
Yeah. I was driving to dance class. Clouds very active, a large, perfectly smooth sphere with short wings, all alone in the sky, stayed until I exited the highway. Who were they?
Oh, wow. Wasn't that sweet? That almost sounds like an angel orb, doesn't it? Was that angel
Yeah.
orb? Oh, that's what it was. I'm getting a yes on that. It was an
And,
angel. I didn't have
wow.
that orbs. They're almost showing me like it was a little baby, like a cherub that was in that orb. But it was for protection. And I'm getting a big yes on this, Teresa.
Ooh.
What is that?
Yeah, cool.
It's
Oh,
cool.
that gave me chills. When you said that, I went, oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Woohoo. All right.
When the things came blinking in front of the windshield when I was with my sister, they didn't have wings. They were just blinking lights going by.
Yeah.
It was
So what do we got?
it was the size of a football field, Teresa. Wow.
Whoa.
That's huge.
Yeah. For a little cherub.
That's what I see inside of them, cherubs.
Yeah. No, yeah. It's, well, again, for me, when I see things, sometimes, they seem so big, and maybe it's because I'm so small, but I don't know, it's our perspective. We get confused with our perspective sometimes.
Well, here is my big confusion on a perspective, because I've been an ant before, one of the ant people, and I remember going up and giving a speech. Now, I was the size of the ants, so I was assuming that the ants were human size. But who's to say I wasn't the ant size?
Yeah.
If somebody asked me that, they were human size, or weren't you the size of the ants? I went, oh, that's very possible. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. On my walk this morning, I saw a barn owl, or barred owl. Anyway, who stared at me for a very long time. It was close. What's the deal? So
Owls do represent the extraterrestrials. If you're here in the UFO extraterrestrial world, they're always talking about owls. Go ahead, Danny. You can read all this.
What's that?
You haven't even pulled one card today.
I'm in agreement with everything you're saying. I have not pulled a card.
It's shocking. You haven't pulled a card. I'm always excited to hear what your cards say.
Well,
you don't have to.
Ooh, hey, maybe I'll pull where's my new deck? Tree Keeper's Oracle.
Oh, that'd be good. Because, it's funny that Karen, I was just talking about the owls today and the message they had from Earth. But it is extremely common, people talking about when the extraterrestrials are around, or a spaceship, or you're getting ready to see something, or something's happening, that an owl shows up. So I'm assuming, but I'm thinking that you are walking around where the aliens or extraterrestrials were, and I'm getting a yes on that. They were in the area.
So the thing that I was going to suggest with her is, when you get these messages, make sure that you take some quiet time to go in and reconnect with that owl and ask them, what were you doing showing up here? What message do they have for you? Even though they were around with ETs, is there another message, a deeper message that this owl can show?
I've got a question for you about that. What makes you think that owl is not an ET?
Me?
Yeah, I'm thinking, because that is something people see when they're around them, that in all actuality, I'm thinking that owl is an alien or extraterrestrial, that you have walked into the area, and that's how they look for you to accept them there. And that would be a good thing to read on, to see the owls are actually extraterrestrials, and the ones like she's talking about, the ones that have messages, the ones that are, and I'm getting yeses on all this. So I'm going down the right path.
Yeah. The so when we're talking about the ocean creatures, and we talk, we think about octopus, whale, dolphins. A lot of those are ET energies.
They are, yeah. Not all of them, just some.
Not all,
That's,
correct.
that's what I'm kind of thinking about the owls.
But are all owls ETs?
No, no.
No.
I think she was walking into an area where the ETs were, or a spaceship was close. And that's what we accept on seeing as an owl in the tree, even though
Yes.
it's acting differently than an owl, or maybe it's not the right time of day or night or whatever it is that the owl's there, or
Yes.
it's hooting out at your window. I think it might be a messenger.
Yeah. So the cards that I got, because Gail wanted me to throw cards. This is my Tree Keeper's Oracle deck.
Well, I get to see new decks like this. Oh, yay. Okay, Tree Keeper.
Yeah.
I like
So this was interesting. I went and bought this deck, and I got a little deck. And I go, I didn't have a little book. I want, because I like to read the books of the authors.
I like
And
the book.
Well, what's going on? Well, they're counterfeit. The ones with no books and the little teeny ones, they're counterfeit decks, a lot of them.
I didn't know that.
Well, at least that's what the card manufacturer told me. And so I bought the big deck with the book, and I like the big deck a little better. But anyway, getting back to the owl. It's what you were saying, Gail, was absolutely right. I got Keeper. Sorry, you can't see that. Keeper of the Truth. It's hard to see.
Yeah.
But Keeper of the Truth, Keeper of Surrender, and Keeper of Balance. So when you're talking about, so the message that I get is that, let the owl go. Surrender that to an ET realmish image, because that's what it was, and it was bringing balance for the ETs into the earthly plane. So it was balancing that out so that we could accept it.
Yeah, it sounds like, or it looks like Karen's going to be really opening up to a lot of this here soon. I think that was one of her welcoming things.
Welcome, Karen. Come on in. Step into the light.
Yes.
All are welcome.
Karen's saying truth, surrender, and balance are all important messages for me at this time. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Here. Okay. What do we got here? Mystic Hummingbird. Great name.
Yeah.
How do we know we are receiving information from them? I have seen UFOs a couple of different times. I was told by another psychic that I was getting downloads from them. I am a psychic medium. Okay. How do we know that we're receiving information?
That hesitation. It's like, where do we go with this? Well,
well, I was trying to see where the question was, and the question was, how do we know we're receiving information from them?
Yes.
Will you come on a show like this? And no, we'll tell you. No.
Well, that's true. We do help with that.
Well, that's true. Yes.
But only a lot of people have ringing in the ear. And for me, that is my biggest clue of me getting information that is coming in, that I'm getting that kind of information. So I have learned to adapt or adjust or figure out what's happening with me at the time. When I'm getting overloaded with information, that means I have to go to bed, I have to take a nap, something's going on or either I have to go to work. But there's different ways for different people on receiving the information. And for me, I verify my information usually with a pendulum, especially if I'm reading other people. I keep a pendulum beside me and I give the message, and then I pick up my pendulum and see if the message was correct.
Yeah.
And so Danny, I'm going to say part of the time you call me.
I do. I do. I think the verification is huge because we think we're making it up. It's like, okay, well, I just made that up. I didn't get any mess. Well, let me hit the pendulum. Oh, it's true. So for us going into this space, it's good to get confirmation in any way you can get confirmation, either with synchronicities, repeating numbers, your pendulum. If you're still going, did I make that move by myself? Then, call somebody else up and say, and try not to give them too much information, just enough so that you can get your answer clear. I am constantly getting downloads because I've got tinnitus so friggin' bad all the time.
Yeah.
So that's not me getting information, but sometimes I hear a different pitch, and for me, I get dizzy.
Yeah, I remember that time you were saying, I think it was the first time you were having issues, and I got that message that it was going to last 3 days, and then at that third day, you got download complete.
Yeah.
And
yes. Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was crazy because it was like somebody in the room that said download complete. And I went, what? And then I went, I'm not dizzy anymore. I mean, it was so bad. I thought I was going into the hospital. I thought I was going to die.
Yeah, because you were calling me when you were laying on the bathroom floor.
Yeah. And I'm going, could you call my wife? She's in there watching Jimmy Kimmel. I think I'm going to die while she's laughing in the other room. I couldn't stand up. I'm like, oh, hell. And then Gail said 3 days. And I go, 3 days? I don't even know what they downloaded, to tell you the truth. But when I heard download complete, like, you got to be kidding me.
Well, Patricia's saying she uses the pendulum also. But there's another way. If I'm not like on a show doing readings, I'll see the numbers, the synchronicity of numbers, the 111s, the 222s, the 333s, whatever you're thinking about or where you're asking, that is confirmation that you're either on the right track or whatever you're thinking is correct. And I'm a big numbers person, so that's another validation for me.
Yeah. All right. This is going to be the last one because we're in over an hour. So Carol says, I saw a beautiful UFO last year. Yay. Tumbling, it stayed for a couple of minutes and then zoomed away. Broad daylight. This is cool, but my husband couldn't see it.
Oh, yeah. Hey, yep.
There it is.
That happens all the time. As I said, I grew up with a sister who didn't see anything that I was seeing, didn't see or the things that were in our room, didn't see the wolf under the bed. As adults, I would say, before I would even knew what I was doing, I would say, there's a ghost in this house. She wouldn't even remember me saying there's a ghost in this house. So It's amazing when you're sitting on a different vibration than somebody, you can be in the same room and they're not seeing what you're seeing. In fact, I was at lunch. I remember telling you about this, Danny, recently, and a UFO came by and the person I was eating lunch with didn't see it at all. So that happens all the time, Carol.
And we were talking last show about how people are disappearing. They're not showing up.
Yeah,
right?
And that's the message
we're getting to a different vibration.
Right. So, Carol, because you're going and up in a different vibration, and this is true for probably most of the people here in the chat, that going into stores, like going into a grocery store or whatever store people might not see you because you're up there in a high vibration and they can't see you. You can see them, but they can't see you. Like you can't see your guides, but you guys can see you. You have gone to a different vibration. And I got that message, 2 months ago, Danny, that, and it's when I personally went into the grocery store, nobody saw me. I went into the Y, nobody saw me. And then I went into Best Buy and nobody saw me. And I'm going, what is wrong? And then I started getting messages going to happen more and more and more to us. And just to realize that that is happening with your vibration going up, you are going to start disappearing too from people.
Yeah. So as we close this, I pulled 2 cards to close this. I got Keeper of Balance, which is perfect what we're talking about. As we rising up in different vibrations, we're going to be like, am I here? Am I not here? Just stay in balance and stay in self-love.
Yeah, those are good cards.
Give ourselves a big hug. All right. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Please like and subscribe to Gail's channel. It's down below.
And as always, thank you, Danny, for having me.
You're welcome. Any parting words?
I think I just did the parting words.
Perfect. Okay, everybody. Have a great day.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.